Hey guys, welcome back to Quick Nursing Shots with Smita, and today I am dealing an another topic under GI disorder, that is irritable bowel syndrome. And this question is asked for 10 marks as a long essay type of question in GNM as well as for BSc students. So we'll start with the definition. The definition says that IBS or irritable bowel syndrome is most common GI problem, and it is also defined as a chronic functional disorder of the colon that is characterized especially by constipation or diarrhea or a cramping abdominal pain and the passage of mucus in the stool. So here by the word itself, irritable bowel syndrome. So when we use the word syndrome is a word which is used to um, explain that it's a multiple symptoms or it's a group of symptoms. Having a group of symptoms is named as syndrome. So in this GI problem also, the person will be having a group of symptoms. It's not only few symptoms characterizing it, but there are multiple systems. The person symptoms, like the person can have constipation or the person can have diarrhea. There will be abdominal distension or abdominal pain and spasm, and there must be a passage of mucus in the stool. So there are multiple symptoms which can cause in this problem. So moving on to the reasons or etiology. The etiology says it could be something which is running in the family generation, that is called hereditary, and then some reasons like having stress, a lot of stress in their life, maybe in their family life or in their working life, or it could be because of depression and anxiety. And also the food, the food also plays a major role in a person's health. So having a food which is high in fat and also some stimulating and kind of irritating foods, having some ingredients in food which is like peppermint or spearmint or some spicy items, so these can also cause irritation in your bowel. Then alcohol consumption and smoking also irritates your colon and also irritates your gastric mucosa, so it can cause any problem in your body. So these two reasons you can be seeing everywhere in all the conditions. Then moving on to the pathophysiology. So pathophysiology says that the intestinal motility is uh, being disturbed in this IBS problem. So it says that there is a functional disorder of intestinal motility. Functional disorder means there is a disturbance in the function of intestinal motility. Intestinal motility is the same thing which we call it as peristaltic movement. So before starting with the pathophysiology, I'm just going to give you a small note. What is intestinal motility? So our intestine, if you see how our intestine is being designed, so it is designed as a pouch. There will be so many pouch joints together making a passage called intestine. It's not just like a pipe or just like a straight pipe, it's like a pouch. So why do we have our intestine as a pouch? Because the food or the fecal matter, it has to move from one pouch to another. So this kind of structure, having pouch kind of structure of intestine, it actually it enhances, or you can say it actually help in the motility and the movement of food in the forward direction. So the pathophysiology starts with there could be a change in the motility, maybe because of any neurological regulatory system, or a problem with infection or irritation, or problem with any vascular problems, or maybe some metabolic disturbances. So so any change in the motility or in the intestinal motility due to reasons so and so can lead to peristaltic waves are affected at specific segments of the intestine. So it says that any segments of the intestine, specifically or maybe randomly, any segments of intestine will be affected, the peristaltic movements will be affected, and then there will be a problem with the intensity of these movement which they propel the fecal matter forward. So it says the same thing which I just told you earlier, that the peristaltic movement are going to be affected at specific segments of the intestine and in the intensity with which the fecal matter is being propelled out or being thrown out or being forwarded. So that's it about pathophysiology. Moving on to the clinical manifestation. Though manifestation says that symptoms can range in the intensity and duration. So it could be for a short period of time, or it could be for a long period of time in a severe case, or maybe in the mild state. So the symptoms could be as constipation and diarrhea, pain, bloating, abdominal distension. The abdominal pain is sometimes precipitated by eating. So in this case, we are seeing that with eating, person will be feeling more pain. Why it happens? Because the colon actually contains the fecal matter, right? So it is a part of intestine where the fecal matters are being contained. So when the fecal matter is being propelled out, or the person has gone for defecation, person has passed the bowel, the person in this IBS, the person will also feel kind of relief because the colon is being released from that those bowel contents. So that is the reason that the person in IBS will be feeling abdominal pain more when they eat food, and the pain will be relieved by defecation. Then the assessment will start with very history collection, collect the history regarding the patient's intake of medication, any medical condition, any previous surgical procedure happened in the GI system, or maybe upper or lower GI system, or maybe any other part of the body. And also the physical examination. Here the main thing is examining the rectal of the person, and then sending some sample of stools to the laboratory for studying if there is any bacterial problem or something, or there is something abnormal found in the stool. Then contrast X-ray studies can also be performed to see the passage. And then proctoscopy. So proctoscopy is basically a visualization of the anal region through a proctoscope named instrument, which you can find it in your lab. So it's an instrument which is being inserted through your anal canal, and it's being done by a doctor. So they'll be performing it just to find out if there is any other colon diseases. Then barium enema. Barium enema we are giving to the patient. The same reason why we give barium for any other condition, like just to see if there is any narrowing down or any obstruction or something. With barium enema we can find it. Then colonoscopy. So colonoscopy is visualization of the colon of the intestine. So colonoscopy is done like we do endoscopy. So endoscopy is done via the mouth, where the colonoscopy is done via the anal region. So here the colon will be visualized to see if there is any narrowing, or if there is any pain or any distension. Or also we can find out the mucus accumulation, because the scopy which is being introduced in the anal region to the colon, it actually gives a good picture of what is going on in the intestine or in the internal body. It gives a very clear picture. You can just easily see what color your intestine looks like, and if there is any fecal matter, or also any bleeding or mucus also, it will be easily visualized in there. So finding out those things through colonoscopy and doing manometry. So why we're going to do manometry here? Because we need to determine the intraluminal pressure changes. So the intraluminal pressure changes, it could be because of pain or any spasticity. It could be because of any other etiology which we have seen. So having manometry to rule out the pressure changes in the intraluminal region of the colon. Then medical management. So the medical management says that the main aim of the treatment is relieving the symptoms. So here we're gonna work on symptoms of the patient. So if the person have abdominal pain, so the main aim will be to reduce how we can reduce the abdominal pain, controlling the diarrhea by giving some antidiarrheal agents. Or constipation, if there is a constipation, we can introduce some laxatives and any other management. Reducing stress. So if the whatever is the reason of causing this problem, we just gonna eliminate that problem itself. So restriction, and then gradual reintroduction of food. So it says that initially we're going to restrict the food which is causing this problem like IBS. and then gradually or slowly after some times we're gonna reintroduce the food which can possibly be irritating to the colon region. So why we are gonna do this, so why we need to introduce this kind of pain to the patient? So we are doing this just to find out what is that food type or what are those food items which the person should actually eliminate from their diet forever. So just to rule out, so we can introduce them beans or maybe some coffee or fried foods, alcohol, spicy foods, to see what all the foods are actually causing the problem, so that later on life the person will be avoiding those foods forever in their diet. Then having a healthy and high fiber diet, so ask the person not to eat high fat diet, instead can switch for a high fiber diet which will regularize their bowel pattern. Then exercise. So if the person has this stress and anxiety, then exercise is actually be very helpful. Having meditation and exercise can reduce the anxiety and also the intestinal motility. We say when you walk and when you do a lot of exercises and all, then your bowel pattern is also kind of regular, right? So we need to increase that intestinal motility by giving some exercise to the patient. Then patient is often finding it very helpful to participate in any program which is actually reducing their stress and also changing in their behavior. And then also we can have some antidiarrheal or hydrophilic colloids. These agents can be given to the patient to control the diarrhea and the person have fecal incontinence. Then antidepressant, so if the person's depression is not being treated by any other methods like having diversional therapy and all, then at the last stage we can have the person take antidepressants to treat their anxiety and depression. Then anticholinergics and calcium channel blockers are also given to the patient in case of muscle spasm or in case of muscle pain. And if the person is having constipation, so these are the two situations for pain and for having constipation, we can just give these two calcium channel blockers and anticholinergic medications to relieve that spasm and narrowing of these muscles or maybe the intestine. Then the nursing management, so nursing management always start with the family education or the health education. So here you got to provide patient and family health education. So just you can write some points how what other things are added in your health education, so it will um, this will give a little more content to your nursing management which is actually being analyzed. So you are being um, tested how you write nursing management. So if you write at least 10 to like 8 to 10 points in nursing management, you got a good get a good marks for the 10 marks answer. Okay, so right, the nurse emphasizes teaching and reinforces good dietary habits. So these are the things which we do in health education, right? Teaching the person what are the diets to be added in their daily eating schedule. Then the patient is also being encouraged to eat at regular times and tell the patient not to swallow their food like that, but they should give some time to chew and then slowly gradually they should eat their food. And also tell the person that having plenty of fluids, it's very important, but taking fluid at the time of eating meals, it's not good because this will cause abdominal distension which is actually the person facing so many problems like that. So we can avoid this by teaching the person. Then alcohol use and cigarette smoking should be discouraged to the patient. So you just can't say that don't, but you need to write these kind of empathizing words like discouraging, encouraging, and teaching, initiating, helping. So these are the words you should write in your nursing management. These are the words you should use in writing your nursing management and also in your clinical fields. Then so this was it about the nursing management. You can also take some points from your medical management like administration of so and so medicines and teaching so and so of exercises for stress relief and any other thing, so you can just add on few more points in your nursing management. Okay, so moving on to the diagnosis, it says that constipation related to narrowing of the colon, acute pain related to inflammation, imbalanced nutrition less than body requirement related to dietary restriction, activity intolerance related to fatigue, ineffective coping, and risk for impaired skin integrity related to malnutrition and diarrhea. So this is it about irritable bowel syndrome. So this is how you're going to write for your 10 marks question in your examination. If you have any queries or you want any other thing to be added on, or you have any doubt related to something, you can just comment down in the comment section and I will come up with the solution of it. So thank you for watching. Do like, share and subscribe my content if you relate to it, and study well. Bye bye.